VoxelBlaze, also Mark, you might know me from Twitter. I'm the head of the Sandbox for Australia and New Zealand. So I've been working with them for quite a long time, and I've been working in the Metaverse for about 2 years. So I have a lot to say on it, I guess, so I can answer many questions you have. The Metaverse for me really is what I see in the future being basically what we have in the real world today, but just in a digital form. Almost anything you can do in the real world now, you should be able to do in the Metaverse. There'll be consumers, there'll be creators, there'll be people making digital assets, people selling, people making marketplaces, and people playing games and having experiences together. They're the main things that the Metaverse will be able to bring to everyone, and also in a digital way that you'll be able to connect with people from across the world, be able to do it together, and basically just share experiences with anyone you want, anywhere in the world. And that's the main point of the Metaverse, I think. But there's also a lot of ways that the other companies in the world are approaching it. There's a Web 2 way, which I think Meta is approaching it, where they kind of own all the assets themselves, which I think myself is the wrong way of approaching it. That's why I like to work with Sandbox. The way they approach the Metaverse was UGC, so everything's user-generated content. So basically, if you make it yourself, you own it, you sell it, and they're going to be able to put the platform out there so you can make a business for yourself without having any middleman. There's going to be no one in the way to try and cut your grass almost, steal your money, because that's what happens in the real world today. It's one thing, someone makes a company, and then by the time it gets to us over here in Australia, it's about 5 or 6 different middlemen, and they've increased the price about 6 to 8 times. So that's where I see the Metaverse coming from and being able to really help us, basically cutting out costs, middlemen, and just be able to provide awesome experience for everyone involved. Also, I have to say with the Metaverse, it's kind of a weird thing because everyone has their own way of doing it. I guess people think the Metaverse is in this crazy digital space where it's not really. It's kind of just communities of people connecting together, and they're just trying to engage in a new way where there's this new technology and they're all able to connect and work together, and from that create awesome experiences and other user-generated content for other people that you wouldn't necessarily see. And I have that actually as a really awesome personal experience of mine. For about 2 years ago, basically when COVID hit, I kind of lost my job, and then through the Sandbox I was able to make a new job for myself, make my own company, and then basically pull myself out of not being able to have any money, basically. Provide for my partner to be able to stay at our house and everything, and that was all done digitally online through a Metaverse with no ties to any other company, and all it really took was the determination of myself to try and put it together. So that's where I see the Metaverse really coming in, is being able to give everyone here the chance to make their own company, have their own assets, have their own sales, have their own following, I guess, and also just meet people that they really want to connect with. I guess from there, the main thing for me I want to ask everyone here is, what are their questions? Because the Metaverse is different to everyone else, and I guess they don't really, I guess from everyone else's perspective, when you're looking at the Metaverse, you're probably thinking Meta, Facebook, or it's Sandbox, or Decentraland, or other side, but there actually is a lot of other Metaverses, and even just the social escape from what we have right now with Twitter, and even with Facebook, they're the earliest versions of the Metaverse, because we have already social interaction with people having online. It's not very digital and 3D and interactive, and that's what this new technology will have, basically making it so VR is there, we have rooms we can all have a conference together, and just making it better for everyone.
So can you walk us through what you did?
Yeah.
What was your involvement with Sandbox? What did you do after COVID? You know, a lot of, I think the reason why I'm asking is a lot of people probably have to deal with the Metaverses as well. So I'm trying to walk through that a little bit.
Of course. So my story is kind of a long, funny one. So I was originally a bartender, or bar manager I should say, through COVID, and then that kind of slipped out of the way, and then I had to try and find something new for myself. I found the Sandbox, and I just became an artist, kind of got involved, found out what they were doing. I invested a bit of money in their land system, became a part of the creator fund, and then I started making assets from there. I actually found out that I had talent for it, so I worked my way up through there, became an art manager, and then the game jam appeared, and I was able to convince 2 of my friends to actually come on board. We bunkered down for 2.5 months till the game, and we came first. We actually won the game jam. They gave us 150k stand to make our company plays games, which then we won about another 2 game jams, came in the top 10 7 times after that, and then Sandbox kind of realised that we were doing the most work in Australia, and then they approached me to become the head of Australia for Sandbox. Thank you. Any other questions?
What types of events are the most kind of attended in the metaverse right now? Where do you kind of see that going in the future?
Well, I think actually Sandbox has the most attended events. So our alpha season recently had, over the whole season, 364,000 players. The events that really do well are the ones where there's hype around it. You have people that you want to go see. So one of the really exciting events that's coming up with the Sandbox soon is going to be the Snoop season. So it's basically Snoop Dogg's eventuation from his big land he bought about 6 to 8 months ago, and they've been working down, doing all these experiences, making games for him. And there's going to be a month period where you got to jump in as a Snoop avatar, which has already been developed if you want to jump in as a Snoop avatar. And then also you can go play games, earn money from it, you can actually earn sand playing the games, and also just do competitions and hang out with your friends.
I think I kind of get what the word metaverse means, but I often find it easier to get my head around emerging tech by what it disrupts and how it disrupts. And it seems like metaverse is something you can either be participating in or not, rather than something that's creeping into areas of industry and changing the done way of things. What do you see happening in terms of disruptive impacts?
I really think the Sandbox, I can probably speak on this a bit more, the disruptive force that they have is they're able to bring a really engaging learning experience. So one of the best examples is Ledger. So we had a Ledger experience in Alpha Season 3 where we taught everyone how to use a Ledger and actually how to hit your vault safe. And it was a 30-minute experience, and the engagement rate on it was almost everyone that played it for a full 25 minutes, learned most of the stuff, went through all the questions, and it actually had a really good foundation of just being able to explain this is what your ledger is, this is what it does, keeps your funds safe, you don't want to interact with this. And they also had little fun games where basically there was one of the, if I remember correctly, you go up to a little spot and there was like a hacker, and basically hit the wrong button, you answer the question wrong, and all your funds are being drained, oh no, what's going on, trying to give you that interaction with like, this is a serious thing, but you can take it in a funny way and teach someone how to be safe.
First of all, congratulations on your career trajectory, because that's such an inspirational story. And second of all, you talk about Metaverse, obviously, you want it to be creator-led. The bit that I always get blocked on is how we can possibly get there, really decentralised, when the brands that have got money and funding are more likely to be able to sponsor things and therefore get there faster. How do we create a utopian view of it without that backing?
So that also comes down to, I guess, the metaverse you choose, and that's also why I chose Sandbox, because it is very foremost UGC, which is user-generated content. So they don't really make their money on actually sponsoring or making these big events with other people. They actually make their money off the 5% fee that everyone else is. That's what they really charge. It's like, so say if I make an asset, one of the most successful asset sales we did was we did a legendary sword set. And there was 13 swords, we made 200 copies, and they're all legendary assets. And the whole thing sold out. But we made all the money. Sandbox made probably 500 of what we made from. So they didn't really care, but since they're doing it on such a large scale, they're like the bank almost, the banking system. So when you put your card in your ATM and make a $2 transaction, that's kind of how they're making their money. And they're trying to push forward, putting all the money they do make into more, how do you say, UGC content. So basically with my company as well, right now, they help sponsor us, we do content for them. Right now I'm running up to get more people on board and teach people how to use a Sandbox. I run Twitch streams 3 times a week, teaching people how to use Vox Edit and Game Maker, because my biggest thing is, 2 years ago I didn't know any of this, and all I really want to do is teach people, because if you know how to do it and you learn the skills, you can basically work from anywhere. Any other questions?
Yes, I just have a question in terms of, you mentioned at the start that Metaverse invested in like, I think it's like a few $100 billion to acquire the investment in 10 years. So I guess the question is, what do you think are the key disadvantages of like Web3 decentralized Metaverse compared to Facebook? Because I imagine there's also like kind of things like Metaverse better in terms of maybe like the UX what would you say is like?
I would say for Meta, the best things they have going for them right now is just security, basically because they have it all down pat for you, and it's not really an issue if you learn it properly yourself. So if you learn it properly yourself, it's not an issue. And the reason that Sandbox and every other metaverse kind of kills Meta is because you own the digital asset. Basically, it's yours, and it basically comes to the case, like, I guess, kind of coming down to it's a bit of a sad moment for all of us. What happened with FTX, you don't really own the keys if you have money on the exchange. Same thing with Meta, you don't really own those digital assets if it's in their servers. They can choose to take it away, flick it away, turn the server off whenever you want. But if it's on the blockchain and you own that asset, like the Sandbox, it's yours forever. Is there any other questions? Blaze Games. Blaze Games. So yeah, we started out as Blaze Games. That was about a year and a half ago, and then we developed into the, I guess, official reps for Australia and New Zealand in the last 4 months.
How do you see a future of different metaverses actually integrating and connecting with each other, or is that going to be ecosystem based?
I think it will. So one of the things that the Sandbox has kind of, I guess, lent forward in this is with their assets, they're all voxel based, they're not Sandbox based. So if any other game uses voxels like Minecraft, these assets can be used in that game. So you can transfer them over. I've seen some pretty creative things with GTA. Some people that made their Sandbox avatars of their apes or whatever they had, they were able to load that file in the GTA as their main character and play around as the main character of GTA, running around as whatever avatar they wanted. Any other questions? Nope.
What do you think the barrier to the metaverse is going to be in the short term?
The barrier for the metaverse is probably learning wallet security. Because I feel like for the metaverse, it's actually a lot of young people more so than us right now here that actually want to get involved. And the education around people who are 12 to 18 on wallet security is just not there yet. And we really need to have some things there in place so they can feel safe, they can buy the sword that they want and not feel like they're going to get hacked the next day. They really need to have security in place where almost, I guess, the parent can take control in some kind of regard. But yeah, that's probably the biggest, I guess, entry barrier to the metaverse right now. And then also, obviously, things being expensive to buy and some certain change. Because obviously there was the transition from ETH to Polygon and stuff like that. So there's still some things that are on ETH that are quite expensive. And then they're slowly moving over to Polygon where it makes it a bit more cheaper and accessible for everyone to go to.
Do you think Web2 users might have that whole like fear of kind of like movies like Ready Player One? I'm sure it gets mentioned all the time, but do you think there would be that block of like people thinking it's going to be more dystopian?
I feel like with some of the metaverses there is. Depends on how they, I guess, market themselves to the community. So I feel like with Decentraland it might come up a bit dystopian, just because of the way it's all a bit across everywhere. And with Sandbox it's more targeted at kids, so it's not really meant to be it's almost about this experience and the learning. It's more about they're having a fun time, and then the NFT and the currency comes second to that. It's more just the currency and the NFTs are just there to facilitate everyone having fun and growing together as a community and learning about Web3 in general, and then being able to interact in that new world. Any other questions?
What's your update to other metaverse like Decentraland and other side?
So, other side actually has probably some of the biggest trade at the moment, I would say. Same with Sandbox. They're probably very closely at the moment, like tied, I would say. Decentraland is closely following as well, but Sandbox is the only one out there at the moment that's really launching their project. They've had 3 alpha seasons. Decentraland's out there and they have experiences all over the place, but they're not really launching from a company standpoint these big experiences for everyone to learn about. And other side is just very new. It's just not there yet. So they've done their first one, and I expect to see some really awesome stuff from them. But it's just they are a very, very new project. It takes a long time to build a metaverse. It's one of those things that people kind of think it might happen overnight, and I can tell you for sure it just doesn't. It takes at least 2 years to get these assets involved, because just in the Sandbox's case, they had to do a UGC, and just the onboarding of people like me and other people to get them to make stuff for other people to create an experience, it's a big process.
So last question, what do you think about digital twins? I heard that Singapore was engaged with Sandbox to do a digital twin project. Is that?
No, I haven't heard about digital twins, to be honest.
Is that something you think is important moving forward?
Yeah, partnerships is actually a really big thing. It's actually kind of a funny thing I probably should mention at the end here. We are looking at right now at the Sandbox, trying to actually make an Australia-verse. So basically what we're doing is we're finding IPs from all over Australia right now. That's kind of where we've formed this Australia team. And we're going to put a section on the map called Australia. It's going to kind of maybe try to physically represent Australia a little bit if we can with the boxes, and get awesome IPs like hopefully like the AFL, Australia Zoo, a few other people we've got on board, but I can't really mention too much stuff. But yeah, that's what we're really looking at.